as I said earlier, they are Abaluya communities. They are people from the western part. And then the title of the king among the Abawanga was called Nabongo, and the position was hereditary. Hereditary means from the father to son, hereditary. And then Nabongo ruled over a large area, and this area would appoint chiefs because he could not be able to rule the whole community. In this kingdom of Abawanga, they had an army called Olukuyaba. An army called Olukuyaba. Olukuyaba was an army officer. And also, the most famous Nabongo was Mumia, who became Nabongo in 1879. And his headquarters was at a place called Elureko. Elureko is called now as Mumias. It is the modern Mumias. And then Nabongo Mumia, he inherited kingdom from his father. And his father was called Shiundu. Shiundu. Shiundu was his father, the father of Nabongo. And then, want to look at something else about the Abawanga and ask ourselves, how did it grow? Just the way we look at the Buganda kingdom. Why did the Abawanga, factors that led Abawanga to remain strong or to grow? One, they had strong leaders. They had strong leaders, and we have seen the title was Nabongo. And then number two, they had weak neighbors. The neighbors of the Nabongo were very weak. And then I want us to also look at the ameru. The ameru. The ameru in class 5. The ameru. Now, ameru, they were ruled by council of elders, and the traditional form of governance was organized into clans, and each clan had a council of elders called Kiama. Kiama. So Ameru, they were ruled by council of elders. Council of elders. And we have said that each clan had a council of elders whose title was called Kiama. Then also, each Kiama, that means the council of elders, they were headed by Mugambi. The council of elders, they were headed by Mugambi. They were headed by Mugambi, and there were two categories of rulers among the Ameru. There were two categories among the Ameru, and the religious leader among these Ameru was called Mugwe. And remember, during the passing on ceremonies of this council of elders, there was a ceremony that was organized among the Ameru. So I want us to look at your TY quiz that will test yourself after, as we continue going on with the lesson, through the number that you can see on your screen there. You can side chat, you can chat with us with the questions that you can see. Number one is the handing over ceremony among the Ameru was called dash. The handing over ceremony among the Ameru was called dash. And then number two, name examples of clans among the Ameru. Name the examples of clans among the Ameru. So you use those two questions, the number that you can see down there, to give us your answers. And then the structure of the Ameru government. The Ameru government, it was made up of one, the clans whose title was called Mwirega, and then Mugambi. Share with me the structure of the government of the Ameru on the screen. So Mwirega was the clans that was made up of several homesteads. And then Mugambi was the elder of the Mwirega. And then we have Kiama that we have talked about, who was the Council of Elders. Then the Supreme Council of Elders was called Njurin Cheke. Njurin Cheke was the Supreme Council of Elders, meaning all matters passed through Njurin Cheke. Now, we want to look at the roles of Njurin Cheke as the Supreme Council of Elders. One of the role, which is the main role of Njurin Cheke, one, solving disputes. All disputes, especially major disputes, they were solved by Njurin Cheke. And then number two, guarding warriors. He was the one who guided them to take them where they were supposed to go, maybe in a war or in any area that we have political instability. Then number three, I hope you will share with me the roles of Njurin Cheke. Thank you. He officiated the ceremonies. All the ceremonies that were held in among the Ameru were officiated by Njurin Cheke. He also united the Ameru people and guarded the customs of the community. He ensured that all the customs of the community are not broken. Also safeguarding the environment. So that is what you learned in class 5 about traditional forms of government, the abawanga and the ameru. Now let us look at in class 6. In class 6, what did you look at? Because we want to go up to class 7, we see what you covered. In class 6, you covered one. So ensure if you have any question about what we are learning today, you can use the number that we have on the screen to side chat us. So in class 6, you learned about two forms of government: the Buganda kingdom and the Nyamwezi. Not the Nyamwezi, but the Nyamwezi chiefdom. Buganda and the Nyamwezi. That is in class 6. The Buganda and the Nyamwezi. Let us start with the Buganda kingdom very fast. The Buganda kingdom, these are a kingdom that was formed by the Baganda of Uganda. And in this type of government, the kingdom was situated at the southwest lake of Kyoga and northwest of Lake Victoria. Can you share with me the map that shows the Buganda kingdom so that we are able to see? Why are we learning about the location of the Buganda kingdom? Because in an exam, they will ask which one of the following is not true about the Buganda kingdom. As you can see, we have the Lake Kyoga, which is in green. We have Lake Edward, Lake Albert, then Lake Victoria. It was on the south of Lake Victoria. So that is the Buganda kingdom, where it was located on the during their leadership. And then the Buganda, they had a centralized government. What do we mean by the term centralized? Centralized, it means that it is a system where the power and authority of a country are concentrated in a central point, or in a central or a national government or a capital city. That is what we call the central point. So that is a centralized government. Then the stories of the origin of the Buganda kingdom are that where was it founded, or who founded? It was founded by a person known as Chimera and Kintu. So these were the founders of the Buganda kingdom. And Buganda as a kingdom, it was ruled by the king. So we want to look at what are some of the factors that led to the rise of this Buganda kingdom. 1, it was small and stable. 2, it was surrounded by weak neighbors, participated in the long-distance trade, and it also had enough food. Remember, food is also important. Then creation of a royal bodyguard to protect the king. Let us look at their structure, the structure of the Buganda kingdom. One, the senior-most person was the king, whose title was Kabaka. The king whose title was Kabaka. And when the king died, his son took over. How do we call this? We call this hereditary, as I had mentioned earlier. We call it hereditary. And then Kabaka, as a large territory of the Buganda, he could not be able to lead or rule the territory alone. He was assisted by some of the officials that we are going to look at. These officials are, we have Katikiro, we have Mwanika or Mwanika, then we have Omulamuzi. These were some of the officials among the Buganda kingdom. And Katikiro was the prime minister. Mwanika was the treasurer. And Omulamuzi, Omulamuzi was treasurer, sorry. Omulamuzi was treasurer, sorry for that. Omulamuzi was treasurer, and then Omwanika was the chief justice. So that is what we have about the Buganda kingdom. And then he was assisted by also Lukiko, who was parliament at that time. The work of the parliament at that time was to make laws and discuss the budget. Let us look at, there were only 5 functions of the Kabaka. These include one administrative function. What do we mean by administrative function? It means he was the overall ruler. Then the second one was a judicial function. As a judiciary or as a judiciary body, one of the functions is to settle disputes. So the king, which is Kabaka, he settled major disputes. Then we have, he was also a religious person, a religious leader. He provided link between people and God. And then he was also a military. One of his functions was also military. Remember, as a king, you are the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So he was the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. What do we mean the commander-in-chief of the armed forces? He is the one who could declare war or declare peace. He could declare war or declare peace. Number 2, in class 6, apart from the Buganda, let us now look at the Nyamwezi chiefdom. Nyamwezi chiefdom is among the Bantus of Tanzania, and the Nyamwezi chiefdom, it was ruled by a chief. From the word chiefdom, we said chiefdom, we get a chief. So the Nyamwezi, they were ruled by a chief, and the title of the chief was called Ntemi. The title of the chief was Ntemi. The name Nyamwezi means people from the moon. People from the moon. From the moon. Why do we call them people of the moon? Because they came from the west, where the direction of the moon comes from. And the leadership here was also hereditary, just like the Buganda kingdom. And Ntemi ruled also with 5 officials. He ruled by assistance of 5 officials. This include Muganwe. He was assisted by Muganwe. Share with me on the screen. Also, we have Mutwale. We have Muteko. And we also have Kikoma. And lastly, we have Minule. So these were some of the officials that assisted the Ntemi. So your TY quiz is, who was Muganwe, who was Mutwale, who was Muteko, who was Kikoma, and who was Minule. Use the number that you can see on your screen to text us, and we will be able to respond. Also, the Council of Elders among the Nyamwezi was called Wanyamfala. The Council of Elders was called Wanyamfala, and the Ntemi was chosen by a leading headman. The leading headman was called Mugabe. Mugabe was the leading headman among the Nyamwezi. And then the most famous chiefs among the Nyamwezi were two. The most common chiefs were two. These were one, the most common chiefs among the Nyamwezi. They were two. They were two, and students who are following us, who are these two? Who are these two? Use the number that we have on the screen to text us and give us the correct, the most famous chiefs among the Nyamwezi were two. What were the duties of Ntemi? Ntemi, one, he was the commander-in-chief, as just like the king of the Buganda kingdom. So he also administered chiefdom, as we have said, and he made judgment, meaning he also had judicial role. He also controlled trade between the Arabs and his people. That is what you learned in class 6. Now, let us come to today's lesson about the traditional forms of government in class 7. What did you cover in class 7? What did you cover in class 7? Now, in class 7, you covered two. In class 7, which is today's lesson now, you covered two. Which one are these? The Koisan, and two, the old Ghana kingdom. The old Ghana kingdom. Now, let us start with the Koisan. The Koisan. Who are the Koisan? That is our question. The name Koisan is drawn from Koikoi and the San. The Koikoi and the San. The Koikoi and the San made up what we call the Koisan. So, formerly, the Koikoi, they were known as Hottentots. The Koikoi, let us start with the Koikoi very fast. The Koikoi were also known as Hottentots. And the San were known as Bushmen. Both the San and Koikoi, they share some characteristics. Which are these two characteristics? That is, what is your TY quiz? Your TY quiz is, what is the differences, what is the similarities, what is the similarities between the Koikoi and the San? Because you have said they had some similarities. What were some of the similarities between the Koikoi and the San? That is your TY quiz. Use the number that is down there to answer those questions. Now, the Koikoi and the San, we want to look at their organization. How were they organized? And here, we'll be looking at organization in terms of, one, their way of life. Two, their economic activity. And three, their leadership. Now, when we're talking about their way of life, here we are referring to social organization. Economic, we are referring to economic organization. And then leadership, we are referring to political organization. So let us look at the social organization of the Koikoi. The social organization of the Koikoi, because we want to start with that one. They lived in clans of about 250. They lived in clans of about 250 people. And also the size of their communities, it was determined by the presence of the unity and availability of water and pasture. And why availability of water and pasture? That will take us to economic organization of the Koikoi, because they were originally hunters but later became pastoralists. That is also a question that is most commonly examined at KCPE. On social organization, once again, during their social occasion, they drank or they took alcoholic drinks. They drank or took alcoholic drinks, and also they celebrated festivals of the new moon. They believed that God was the giver of good things on earth. They believed that God, meaning that they also believed in God. They also underwent rites of passage such as birth, puberty, marriage, and death, and which were marked with special ceremonies. When we come to social organization of the sun, there are also some differences. So the question I have given you, the similarities and the similarities of the Koikoi and the sun, you are going to get it under the social organization of the sun. They lived in community in hunting bands where they shared food and belongings, whereas on the Koikoi, they lived in clans of about 250 people. Also, the sun, they lived in caves. They lived in caves or rock shelters. That is how they lived. And because we have said social, we are talking about their way of life. They lived in caves and also allowed polygamy. Polygamy is marrying of more than one wife. They organized the playing mantis as God, as a symbol on earth. Remember what the social organization among the Koikoi is different from that of the sun. So that question is going to assist you here. Also, they painted themselves during dances and other rituals. So you see, that is their social organization of the sun and the Koikoi. What about economic organization? What was the main economic activity of the Koikoi and the sun? The Koikoi one, they were originally hunters. That is a question that is examined at KCPE. The Koikoi were originally hunters, but then became pastoralists. What about the sun? The economic organization of the sun. The sun, on the other hand, they were hunters and gatherers. And then, number two, among the Koikoi, each clan had its own grazing land and waterholes because they were pastoralists. They also traded. They also practiced trading. A question, TY quiz on your side. TY quiz for those who are following. TY quiz. Which community traded with the Koikoi? Which community traded with? Which community traded with the Koikoi? Which community traded with the Koikoi? Which community is that? Use the number down there to answer those questions. Let us look at the economic organization of the sun. They were hunters and gatherers. That one we had already said earlier. They also practiced what we call collecting of wild fruits. They practice what we call collecting of wild fruits. And then in the sun, men hunted animals, whereas women gathered wild fruits. That's the differences between the Koikoi and the sun. And then politically, how were they ruled? The Koikoi and the sun, how were they ruled? Politically, the Koikoi, they were organized into clans in order of seniority, and chieftainship was hereditary, meaning we had just looked at that in the previous lessons, meaning when the son dies, when the king dies, the son takes over the leadership. Then to the small clan heads, they formed council of elders. The small clan heads formed what we call the council of elders. Then the decision affecting the community among the Koikoi, it was reached through consultation with the clan elders. And in contrary to the sun, that we are going to look at in a few minutes. So the decision affecting the Khoikhoi were reached through what we call consultation. Let us look at the San. Politically, the San lived in units of about 40 to 50 people. How do we call that? How do we call that? Two, the leadership among the San was not clear, meaning they did not have chiefs. They did not have chiefs. They did not have kings. They did not have council of elders. It was not clearly defined. They did not have council of elders. They did not have council of elders. And then, number two, about the San, there were some degree of equality among the members of the band. The band was made up of 40 to 50 people. So there were some degree of equality. Why? It is because the San did not have kings. They did not have chiefs. They did not have council of elders. The decisions affecting members then were reached through consensus, which means agreement. Let us look at the old Ghana kingdom. The old Ghana kingdom. So we have looked at the Khoikhoi, we have looked at the San. Let us now look at the old Ghana kingdom. The old Ghana kingdom. This is a question that is examined at KCPE, and we'll be looking at that in a few. Let us look at the old Ghana kingdom. Old Ghana kingdom. So this is an area that is most commonly examined at KCPE also. And the old Ghana kingdom, we need to be very vigilant and be serious when we are revising the old Ghana kingdom, because if you look at KCPE from the year 2010 to the year 2022, you will find out that there was no any question on the old Ghana kingdom, apart from one of the years that we will be looking at, where the old Ghana kingdom was set to give a similarity between itself, that is the old Ghana kingdom, and the Buganda kingdom. But specifically, the old Ghana kingdom has never been set, meaning that we need to be very, very serious when we are revising the old Ghana kingdom. So the old Ghana kingdom is also one of the traditional forms of government that we learned in class 7. And this kingdom, it was the earliest of all kingdoms of West Africa. All the kingdoms of West Africa. All the kingdoms. So it was the earliest. It was the earliest kingdom in the Western Africa. Whereas, just here, whereas when you're talking about the Koisan or the Khoikhoi and the San, they were the earliest inhabitants of South Africa. They were the earliest inhabitants of South Africa. The San was the earliest inhabitants of South Africa, this side. Meaning that they were the first people to arrive or settle in the southern part of Africa. And then we are talking about the old Ghana kingdom. It was the earliest in West Africa. West Africa is this side. West Africa. So the earliest inhabitants of West Africa were the old Ghana kingdom. Then the southern is the Koisan. So this kingdom was located. The kingdom of old Ghana. The kingdom of old Ghana was located between the upper sections of River Niger and River Senegal. The upper sections of River Niger and River Senegal. And it was founded by one of the communities. It was founded by one of the communities. TY quiz is here. Which community founded the old Ghana kingdom? Which community founded the old Ghana kingdom? Which community founded the old Ghana? The old Ghana kingdom. The old Ghana kingdom. That is what TY quiz for today. Use the number that you can see to give us response. The old Ghana kingdom, which community founded the old Ghana kingdom? So the kingdom, the kingdom of the old Ghana kingdom, it had its capital city at a place called Kumbi Saleh. Kumbi Saleh was the capital of the old Ghana kingdom. What were some of the factors that contributed to the rise of old Ghana kingdom. There were so many factors that contributed to the rise of the old Ghana kingdom. And some of these factors, one, their kingdom had powerful kings, powerful leaders, and also they had strong weapons. And then the army was also well equipped. The army of the old kingdom was well equipped, and also the king among the old Ghana kingdom, the king was controlled the Trans-Sahara trade. Remember, they also practiced trade. We'll be looking at that in a few minutes also. Then, this kingdom, it was situated in a strategic position in the Savannah belt. That was also a reason that led to the rise of the old Ghana kingdom. TY quiz. TY quiz here is, which is the main reason? Which is the main reason? Underline the word main. Which is the main reason that led? The reason that led to the rise of old Ghana kingdom. Old Ghana kingdom. Which is the main reason that led to the rise of the old Ghana kingdom. Remember, the fact that it was strong, it also came and collapsed. It came and also collapsed. Why did it collapse? Reasons that led to the decline of the, or decline or fall of the old Ghana kingdom. One, the kingdom was too large for the king to rule. Who was the king of the Buganda kingdom at that time? Who was the king of the old Ghana kingdom? He was called Kayamagan. Kayamagan was the king. The king founder of the old Ghana kingdom was called Kayamagan. And then the kingdom, it lacked clearly defined boundaries. That made the administration to be very, very difficult. And also, there were succession disputes among the communities and among the neighboring neighbors of the old Ghana kingdom. The kingdom over-depended on the source of income, and also which was the Trans-Sahara trade. Trans-Saharan trade, that was the economic activity that was practiced among the old Ghana kingdom. In later years, the army was weakened and not able to defend the kingdom effectively. That means after years passed on, it lacked what we call defense. So the kingdom it collapsed. The kingdom collapsed. So here I've given you which community founded the old Ghana kingdom, to which is the main reason that led to the rise of the old Ghana kingdom. And then another question that is going to be linked to this one, which is the main reason that led to the decline of the old Ghana kingdom. Remember, I have given you reasons for the reasons for the decline. I've given you reasons why it rose. But now we want the main reason. The main reason. What was the main reason for the decline? So let us also look at the last part, the social organization of the old Ghana kingdom. How were they organized? Just like the other, the Koikoi and the San. How were they organized politically, socially, and also economically? So politically, the old Ghana kingdom, because it was a kingdom, then it was ruled by a king whose position was also hereditary. And when the king died, the eldest son of his sister inherited the throne. I want us to write that why the old Ghana kingdom, who inherited the old Ghana kingdom, we are saying when the king died, the elder son, the elder sister's son. The elder sister's son inherited the kingdom among the old Ghana kingdom. What about economically? What are some of the economic activities that were involved among the old Ghana kingdom? The old Ghana kingdom, they traded with the North African countries through barter trade system, through barter system. Remember, barter comes from the word barter trade. They traded with the countries of the North African part. TY quiz for the student. TY quiz for the student. Which community traded with the old Ghana kingdom? Traded with the old Ghana kingdom. Which community traded with the old Ghana kingdom? Then question 2, what are some of the items of trade? Which are some of the items of trade that were used in exchange with the old Ghana kingdom? So these are your TY quiz questions. Use the number that is on your screen to respond to those 2 questions. Then the social organization of the old Ghana system. We say that social organization, we're talking about how did they live, their way of living. The old Ghana kingdom, they lived in grass-thatched houses. And they practiced African traditional religion despite of the influence of the Muslims. So they lived in grass-thatched houses. Remember, we said this side, the son lived in caves and in rock shelters. Now, I want us to look at some of the KCPE questions, that have come from this topic, traditional forms of government. KCPE questions. I want to let you know this, as we have discussed the old Ghana kingdom and the Koisan, the Buganda kingdom, the Yamuzi chiefdom, the abawanga and the ameru. Questions must come there. And here in KCPE 2022, kindly share with me KCPE 2022, as you can see on the screen. KCPE 2022, there are 3 questions that were tested. 3 questions. KCPE 2022 question 15, which asked the abawanga community was ruled by, we have already covered it here. Then the same KCPE 2022 question 21, which on the following is not a function of enduring cheke? We have looked at the duties of enduring cheke as the council of elders among the ameru. Then question 22 of the year 2022, they also tested who among the following was the king? Who among the following was the king among the Buganda kingdom? We have looked at the officials of the Buganda kingdom. We have looked at Katikiro, Omulamuzi, Omwanika, Lukiko. We have looked at them. So what does that tell you? That tells you that despite the fact that these 3 questions looks very simple, but there is a reason for you to continue revising and going through the same questions, because we never know where the examiner will be able to test. Then question 13, KCPE 2020, it is asking about KCPE 2020, question 13, share with me on the screen kindly. Which one of the following statement is true about the political organization of the Khoikhoi? We said political organization is how they were ruled. And then here, there's something I wanted us to go through the answers you see. Multiple choice A, they were ruled by kings. Decisions were reached through consensus. Disputes were settled in courts. they had a council of ministers. If you look at the 4 multiple choices that we were given, you find out that if you use what we call elimination method, of which today we need to be using it, elimination method, you will be able to use elimination method and find out that in the 4 answers that we have, we only have 2 that look similar. So you'll go through KCP 2020 question 13. Then question 16 of KCP 2018, they asked about Kabaka of Buganda. Kabaka of Buganda. And we have already looked at who was Kabaka among the Buganda kingdom. Then they are saying the multiple choices we have, he was elected by people. From the time we started looking at the traditional forms of government, there is nowhere that we have said that leaders were elected. We have not looked at anywhere that says they were elected. And then he administered a chiefdom. Remember, we are talking about the Buganda kingdom, but here they are talking about a chiefdom. Meaning, in multiple choice elected eliminates the answer. Multiple choice B, chiefdom, eliminates the answer. Then he was commander-in-chief of the army. Then he appointed the council of elders. Meaning, your answer will either lie between C and D. But now, what eliminates D is, did we have council of elders among the Buganda kingdom? Question 8 of KCP 2017, it was asking, below are facts about a traditional form of government. A traditional form of government. That is the topic that we are looking at today. It was ruled by chiefs. The people lived in villages. Villagers formed chiefdom. Leadership was hereditary. If you look at the answers that we have, A, Yamuzi, Ameru, Buganda, San. If you look at that, first you eliminate the San because we said the San did not have what we call defined rulership. Then C, we eliminate Buganda. Why? They were ruled by kings. Ameru, so we remain with Ameru and Nyamwezi. But remember, Ameru were ruled by council of elders. So we remain with Nyamwezi. Then question 7 of KCPE 2017, in traditional African society, one of the functions of the clan was to, the function of the clan of the clan is derived from with the functions and the duties of the people who ruled them. For example, among the Buganda kingdom, what was the functions of the Buganda? Among the Nyamwezi chiefdom, what were the duties of the Nyamwezi? We looked at that. Then question 9, which one of the following was a function of the, question 10, KCPE 2016. Which one of the following was a function of the clan in the traditional African society? That question, 2016, question 10, was repeated, question 16, KCPE 2017. So there was a relationship between 2017 and 2016. 2016, it was question number 2016, it was question number 10. 2017, it was question number 16. So you see there is a relationship. When the question was set in 2016, it seems most of the learners failed. So it was repeated in 2017. The same question. Which of the following was a function of the clan? In traditional African society, one of the functions of the clan was to, and the answers are still the same. Then question 9, KCP 2014, during the pre-colonial period, the Ameru were ruled by the same question. If you look at question 15, KCP 2022, it has also some similarity with that question 9 of KCP 2014. And then there is something I want us to note. Question 8, KCP 2016. Question 8, KCP 2016. Which of the following statement describes the political organization of the San? Political organization. They lived in caves. That is social. They predict the few. They lived in caves. That is social organization. They kept livestock. That is economic organization. So you remain with they were ruled by chiefs or they made decisions through agreements. So your answer can either be C, B, or D, of which the San did not have what we call defined rulership. So they made decisions through agreements becomes the correct answer. And then question 10, KCP 2014, during the pre-colonial period, the Ameru were ruled by, we have looked at that. Then question 14, which one of the following titles you used in the Buganda kingdom? Question 9, KCP 2010, that was talking about KCP 2010, question 9, the officials of the Buganda kingdom. So you see, if we assume the officials and their titles, that question can also be tested. Then KCP 2010, question 16, which one of the following communities was ruled by a king during the pre-colonial period? Look, question 16, 2010 is having a relationship with question 15, 2022. Question 15, 2022. There is a relationship between KCP 2010, question 16, and KCP 2022, question 15. So you need to make sure that all these officials and the traditional forms of government are well set in your mind and well installed in your mind. That brings us to the end of today's lesson. I have been your facilitator and your teacher, Teacher Duncan Gwadima from Ahadi Presbyterian School. And I've said I'm also a kcpe facilitator preparing candidates for national exams. I'm also a mentor, academic mentor, and motivational speaker also to candidates in both primary and secondary schools. And in addition to that, I also coordinate online lessons during any time maybe you need us. Thank you for tuning in to KUTV Elim. Follow us for more lessons. We normally have lessons running throughout the week. Don't waste any time at home. Make use of the available time as you prepare for the Kenya National Examination that is coming ahead of you. That brings us to the end of our lesson for today. I have been your facilitator, Teacher Duncan Gwadima. Until next time, I want to say, a good bye. Thank you for tuning in.